fancy chrome trim. Very common on 1950s American automobiles. It also existed on buses as well, and the best examples were, of course, in Spain, where many coaches were lavishly embellished with it. This is the story of Ayats Coaches, a luxury coach builder that turned their vehicles into works of art. Hi, this is Jeffrey. Now, back in the 1950s, we all know that cars had lots of really great chrome trim and tail fins, especially American cars. Now, not only did cars have chrome trim and tail fins, but so did buses. And one of the best places to see that was in Spain. Now, there was a really great coach builder in Spain called Ayats, and they still exist. They started back in 1905, and they still are there making really great coaches and buses to this day. And so that's what we're going to look at, the great coaches and buses of Ayats. Now, I really just wanted to show the great chrome buses of the 1950s, but I decided to expand this video to do a brief history of the company Ayats because they just had such a great array of buses and coaches. Now, I cannot show every single bus or coach that they ever had created, so it's just going to be a brief overview of this very interesting coach builder. So let's get started in looking at the history of Ayats in Spain, one of the longest lasting and most interesting coach builders in the world. The story of Carrocerias Ayats began all the way back in 1905 when Don Juan Ayats built his first wooden coachwork in Arbuces, a small town surrounded by forested land located in the province of Girona, which is part of the autonomous region of Catalonia, Spain. And so began a proud history of coach builders that for more than 100 years has become a significant epicenter in the world of Spanish coachwork and bus manufacturing. In addition to Ayats, Arbuces is home to other businesses dedicated to the construction of buses, including Indcar, founded in 1888, Piules, founded in 1934, and Noj, founded in 1964. In 2010, around 1,200 people worked in the bus building business in this geographic region, made up of the bodybuilders and approximately 30 additional component suppliers, with production of about 1,500 buses per year. In 2024, Ayats itself employed about 150. Ayats Coachworks has long built a wide range of bus bodies on a variety of platforms and manufactured its own complete vehicles. Some of the many chassis that Ayats have been built upon during their history included Number 1, Alfa Romeo. Number 2, Berlier. Number 3, Buick. Number 4, Chevrolet. Number 5, Diamond T. Number 6, Hispano-Suiza. Number 7, Mercedes-Benz. Number 8, Pegaso. Number 9, Sava. And number 10, Volvo. In the 1930s, Ayats built many mid-sized buses, sometimes with a very aerodynamic and streamlined look. The 1940s saw Ayats build larger buses, with the beginnings of what would become, in the next decade, their signature chrome trim. Until 1946, Ayats was the official coach builder of the Hispano-Suiza company, with an example of this being the 69 BIS model. Other models during the 1940s included the Ayats Austin. The 1950s for Ayats may have been the height of its creativity. During this decade, Ayats were often paired with Berlier and Pegaso chassis. But more obvious during this time is that Ayats produced an incredible array of impressive bodywork adorned with gorgeous chrome work that was obviously inspired by 1950s American automobiles. These have to be some of the most elaborate and beautiful bus and coach bodies ever built anywhere. Some designs sported tail fins and nearly all bubble-like glass roofs. These vehicles may have been more like luxurious limousines than buses or coaches, which was probably Ayat's intent. The 1960s saw Ayat buses with chromework, but in a more muted way, until, of course, that aesthetic was phased out completely in their coachwork. The design of their bodywork was coming more in line with the typical larger European touring coaches of the time. This trend, of course, continued into the 1970s. Ayat also built some minibuses on Alfa Romeo chassis during the mid-1960s, which could rival the VW bus. The 1960s, as well as the 1970s, also saw many buses and coaches of various designs built upon the Pegaso 5000 series, such as the 5031 and 5036, as well as the 5061 chassis, all which appeared to be quite popular at the time. Some of the more interesting bodies were the A320 and A969. At the Barcelona Motor Show of 1973, quite an interesting DAF bus with an Ayats body was displayed, possibly a one of a kind. In the 1980s, Ayats built cutting-edge coaches, including the Apollo 1 and 2, the Jupiter, the Diana, the Taurus, and Apollino. The Apollo 1 was quite a tall bus, with a continuous upper floor and lower driving position. The Apollo 2 was similar in size to the Apollo 1, and like the Apollo 1, it had a double windscreen with luggage compartments above the wheel arches. The driving position was on a fairly low platform. The Jupiter was a double-decker model, often with 3 axles. The Diana had a lower body, without luggage racks above the wheel arches, and normally with only one windscreen due to its lower front. All Ayats from the 1980s and early 1990s, whatever the model, have very common construction elements and features. At the end of the 1980s, the Olympia model succeeded the Apollo. It also had a 2 front window, with the upper one angled backwards. And they were built on platforms such as the Mercedes-Benz O303. Into the 2000s, innovation in design continued from Ayats, and one of their more unusual and futuristic models was the Atlantis. And as for their latest luxury coaches, the Spirit and the Horizon are superb examples of Ayat's continued production of high-end vehicles. So, there it is, a brief look at the history of Ayats Coachbuilders. Now, if you know of a really great or unusual bus or coach that was built by Ayats that was not covered in this video, let us know, because I would definitely like to know about it as well. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this look at Ayats Coachbuilders of Spain. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day. Bye.